ShadowCrew, we had this guy, Albert Gonzalez, this kid's name. We were growing so big that I had to start farming things out. So the first thing I started farming, I instituted this review system, kind of establishing that trust mechanism even further for criminals to use. We needed somebody to take care of our tech aspects of the forum. So associate of mine by the name of Kim Taylor, we were looking for a forum techie. He comes to me one night and he's like, found our forum techie. I was like, who's that? And he's like, it's this kid. And I was like, is he any good? He's like, well, he knows the software. And I was like, okay. We just signed his ass on. He went by the screen name of Cumba Johnny was his screen name. And he started selling credit cards after a while under a screen name of Scarface. And that CVV1 breach where you're cashing out the track twos at ATMs, $40,000 a day. So Albert's in New Jersey one day, broad daylight, and stands at an ATM for 40 minutes, just standing there, feeding in one ATM card after another, pulling out cash, taking the 20s out, stuffing them in that backpack. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, just across the street, a couple of cops just happened to be there. Mm-hmm. And they start noticing this kid's just standing there. So 40 minutes they watch this kid. 40 minutes. Finally, one cop looks at the other. Let me see what's going on there. Walks over across the street. Albert's wearing a wig. He's got the disguise on, everything else like that. Asks him, kid, what are you doing? Albert falls apart. We didn't know Albert had been arrested. So Albert immediately goes in. I want to work for the Secret Service. At that point in time, Secret Service, I referred to, and I want to make sure I don't say that it's not like that anymore. But back then, they were fucking idiots. All right, they had no clue what was going on.
So there was a competence issue that they were working through. Is one way to put it.
That's a nice euphemism. So, or fucking idiots is another way to say it.
So they're just like not aware of this digital world.
They had no clue. No clue. The way that Albert tells them how to catch us, because they looked at him, how do we catch them? And Albert's like, Albert, I'm serious. Yeah. I'm serious. So Albert's like, well, you could try a VPN. What's a VPN?
Yeah.
So he explains it to them. They're like, that's a good idea. So I quit ShadowCrew. I was worried about all the news that was coming in and everything like that. I'm still in $160K a week. I didn't know Albert had been arrested. I'm worried about being arrested. I know the writing's on the wall, and I'm like, I'm quitting.
Where did you see the writing? Like
the IPs that were coming in?
Yeah.
The text messages about the Secret Service investigators.
Building. So the pressure's building. It's not going to end well.
This is not going to end well. Yeah. This is going to be bad. So I announced my retirement of April 15th, 2004 is my retirement. Yeah, I think that's 2004. And I quit. I walk away. Well, Albert had been arrested. They cut him loose. No one knows he's been arrested. He comes back into ShadowCrew. I leave. Kim Taylor at the same time. He's kind of on the run, which, if you want to know that story, that's a nightmare story in and of itself. So my second in charge, Kim Taylor, this guy. There was this guy named David. Oh, what was his name? He was El Mariachi was the guy's name. David Thomas. David, yeah, he was a film guy. So
Scarface.
Yeah. So El Mariachi, real name David Thomas, he's on the run out of Nebraska for check fraud. He comes to us on ShadowCrew telling us this sad story. We take up a collection for this guy. Send it to him, all right? I get him a job working with a low-level carter, trying to make him some money, all right? El Mariachi Thomas does this for a few weeks, comes to me one day, and he's like, man, I'm not making any money. I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do. Well, I had a Ukrainian guy by the name of Big Buyer. He, real friend of mine, and I contacted him. I was like, look, man, I got a guy that wants to do some work. Can you help the guy out? And he's like, I got him. I was like, okay. So he sends Thomas enough money to go. Thomas is in Texas at that point. Sends Thomas enough money to go from Texas to Issaquah, Washington, and rent an office space. All right. So Thomas goes up there, rents his office space, him and his girlfriend, rents an office space. And the plan is big buyer is going to place an order, get product sent. Mariachi is going to get the product, list it on eBay, cash out 50-50. Easy enough, all right? So big buyer places an order. First order is Outpost.com, $18,000. The largest order Outpost.com had ever received at that point in time.
Okay.
Order goes through.
It goes through still.
Goes through. He gets the product, all right? Mariachi comes back, tells my second in charge, Kim Taylor. Kim Taylor at this point, I'm 33, 34. Kim Taylor's 46. He works at the Tattered Cover Bookstore in Denver, Colorado. That's where he works at this point. And he fancies himself Jason Bourne.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He's even got one of the screen names of Jason Bourne. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right. So Mariachi's telling us how much money he's making, everything else. I'm like, well, that's good. I'm glad you're all right. Kim contacts me. He's like, I want to go to Issaquah. And I was like, why? And he's like, to make some money. I'm like, you're making money. He's like, I want to go to Issaquah. I was like, all right, go. Be careful. So he gets in the car. Saturn is what he's driving. He drives his little piece of shit Saturn all the way up to Issaquah. Gets there, midnight. They party all night long because they've never met each other. They're just celebrating, partying, drinking, everything else like that. Meanwhile, Big Buyer has placed another order with Outpost.com, $17,000. The second largest order Outpost.com had ever received at that point in time. By this point in time, Outpost knows the first order was fraudulent. Guess where it's going? The exact same address the first order goes. So Outpost picks up the phone, calls Issaquah PD. Hey, we got a fraudster. Issaquah's like, would you mind sending some empty boxes? And Outpost is like, be happy to. So the rule is on credit card fraud, if you've got full account access, you place the order. The morning it's supposed to arrive, you sign into the bank account or the credit card account. If you can sign in, you go pick up your product. Mm-hmm. If you can't sign in, you go back to sleep that day. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Big Buyer was the guy who placed the order. Mariachi and my second in charge are partying. All right. So they're supposed to contact Big Buyer. They don't. Meanwhile, Big Buyer is raising hell, getting up with me like, hey, where are the guys? I can't find them. They don't need to pick up this product. So I can't get in touch with them. They go down to pick up so Mariachi's got a Cadillac, old 70s Cadillac. He's got a Cadillac, pulls into the complex. Now, Mariachi's driving. Kim Taylor's in the passenger seat. David Thomas's girlfriend's in the back seat. As they pull into the complex, going through the parking lot, Mariachi just happens to glance over and he sees a van with a guy sitting sideways in the van. And he looks at Kim Taylor and he's like, that's an undercover. And Kim's like, it's fine. So they pull up to the office complex. Kim's like, I'll go in and get the packages. So he walks in, looks at the guy behind the counter. I believe you have some packages for us. Guy's like, 1 second. So he disappears around the wall. Out pops the Issaquah PD, arrests Kim. David Thomas is in the car watching all this happen. He bugs out, and they arrest him on the interstate, where he has 3 fake driver's licenses in his wallet, along with his real driver's license. Another no-no, but they get him. So David Thomas had outstanding warrants out of Nebraska. We couldn't bond him out. Kim Taylor didn't have any warrants, so we bonded him out. My third in charge, Kid, Seth Sanders was his name. He bonds him out, uses his girlfriend's account to bond him out. And I get Kim Taylor to go to Utah, where another friend of mine agrees to house him and his wife. So I think everything's fine and all that. About 3 weeks later, this guy in Utah gets me on the phone. Hey, he's got to go. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, well, the only thing he's doing is popping ecstasy tablets every day, all day. And I'm like, seriously? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, he's got to go. So we kick him out of there. By this point, I've got another crew that's coming through. I mean, I had all these crews running. Had another crew that's coming through Denver. Send Kim back to Denver to partner up with these guys. Kim gets these guys arrested. So by this point in time, I'm exasperated. I just want to throw my hands up in the air and walk away. So my retirement's coming up at the same time. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm done. So I tell everybody, the rest of the admins and the mods there, I'm like, this is what's going on. You guys need to watch out for this. We need to ban Kim, not let him back in. Be careful what's going on. I walk away. At the same time I walk away, Cumba Johnny, Albert Gonzalez, comes back into play. He sees everything that's going on. He uses that to his advantage. He starts banning everyone that's suspicious of him, sets up the VPN at the same time and says, hey, to make sure we're all secure, I need all transactions to go through this VPN. VPN's ran by the Secret Service. All right. Secret Service ends up, I think they ended up cataloging like $7 million worth of transactions over the next 4 or 5 months. ShadowCrew makes the front cover of Forbes, August 2004. Headline, Who's Stealing Your Identity? October 26, 2004, United States Secret Service arrests 33 people, 6 countries, 6 hours. I was in Charleston, South Carolina when I saw it happen, and I'm like,
so you're the one that got away.
I'm the one public. There were a couple other guys that got away that they didn't publicly mention. One, his name was Tron. He was in the
Zero.
Yeah, exactly. But he went by the screen name Tron. He had access, almost unfettered access, to Bank of America. So what happens is they identified the guy. Secret Service is in the air to go get him. They call the Ukrainian police. Hey, we're coming down to arrest this guy. Ukrainian cops are like, oh, come on down. So as soon as they got off the phone, Ukrainian cops get in the car, go down and tell Tron, hey, they're coming to get you.
Yeah.
So he bugs out down to South America, and they don't catch him, I think, for 6 or 7 years after that, something like that.
Caught him eventually.
Caught him eventually.